Dawn Assault, Cascapedia at the inside. Then comes Arctica. Coral Fever's getting into the race. Look at him go. Tilbury Fort is right in there. Coral Fever, Tilbury Fort. It's Tilbury Fort. Tilbury Fort won it.
Well, Sean, these weeks and months of preparation all came to fruition on Saturday, and this must be right up there with the very best you've ever had.
Yes, definitely, Andrew. I mean, obviously we always plan for these days, and for it to come off is not easy. And especially on Saturday, where I felt that the races were pretty competitive. Besides the first one, there were no gimmies.
I suppose an element of relief when the odds-on favourite Julia obliges in such emphatic fashion, and on top of it all, horse racing in the silks of a new enterprise in South Africa ran a most commendable race as well.
Yes, obviously two very smart colts, and they set the tone on the day. Very happy with both of them. But I think the race that sort of signalled what could come was Purple Diamond.
Yeah, when it goes your way. I mean, you obviously said that he was over-racing. The blinkers had done the trick. There was a scratching in the race, which obviously we never know whether it played into your hands or not, but he did show a lot of courage.
Yeah, listen, I just think it was Semanga at his best. But at the same time, you know, to make a drastic decision like that, to drop him back into a 5 furlong and he comes good. Yeah, people may say you were running him over the wrong distance all the time, but he did win a Group 2 at level weights over 1400. So, you know, it's not like he's got to that level again. It's just that I think with the blinkers he's showing a lot more speed, and I'm going to just give him that time over the sprints before he gets going over a bit more ground again.
It's one on the board for Lyle, it's one on the board for Semanga, and then young Luke Ferrara steps up to the plate in a race that you had a few entries.
Yes, once again, not a big field, and Cordillera had a phenomenal post-maiden run. Really top class. She was way out at the weights. She was completely lost, and I mean, the filly of Michael's that won that race, she's a top filly. So, you know, good draw, no weight. Sure, I thought Against the Grain was the right one, but I did give her a good chance, and Luke, again, rode an absolutely phenomenal race.
Yeah, I was speaking to his father actually in Hong Kong in the morning on the way to the races, and they were sitting there watching, glued to the screen as they are. But he's a real cool customer, a really beautiful seat, and got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, I think the thing that impresses me is his maturity level. Obviously, he's brought up in a racing family. He knows what to do. He's seen it. He's lived it. He's grown up with it. And the benefit of being in Hong Kong, where there are some real top jocks. So the fact that he's a good rider is not a surprise. But the fact that he can actually, in terms of riding a particular race for a particular horse, is pretty impressive.
And then something really special happened. We didn't really know it at the time, but it just transpires that Lyle spewed forth that Africa Rising is his favourite horse. He's just got such a lovely connection with this horse, and he wasn't exactly unfancied.
Yeah, listen, both Luke and Lyle, funny enough, are in love with Africa Rising. Lyle's actually been involved with him for quite some time. I think just when he went into the academy, he rode a few gallops for me at Greyville when I think he was still a youngster. But he is a horse that we've always rated very highly.
Africa Rising settling in, and away they go. Africa Rising didn't get the best of starts over there.
He rears as the gates opened. He gets behind a wall of horses. He was travelling well the whole time, well enough to win, but you know, to get through, Lyle made a drastic move, and it paid dividends.
Between runners is Pon, hard to play on the outside. Then came Clever Guy looking for a way through. Africa Rising, not the best of luck there. 100 metres to go. Romy's Boy hits the frontier. Romy's Boy running on strongly is Africa Rising. Africa Rising blowing them away here. Africa Rising won the Merchants from Romy's Boy.
No, I think it must be fair to say that going into the GBet Summer Cup, your confidence levels must be pretty high. You're never going to get over the top and get ahead of yourself. It's not Sean Tarry's style. But you must have been very pleased with the way that the day was travelling, putting the saddle on those horses in the seventh race.
Well, let's put it this way. At the same time, you're saying, well, you've fired your bullets. How much more to come is there? You know, so it's nice to have the confidence knowing that everything's fallen into place and the horses are in good shape. However, when he went down to the start, I was absolutely blown away. and I felt, you know what, they may just have him to beat.
Well, you always expressed a measure of confidence that your horses' preps had all been good. But I think at the end of the day, you've never been one of those people to say, I told you so. You seemed brimful of confidence that your prep for this horse, knowing the horse the way you do, had been spot on.
I was very happy with the prep I'd given him, with all three of them in fact, but he just had a bit more spark. His coat was just a bit better, and he was moving, I won't say best of the three, but so much better for him. I had to have confidence in his prep. At the same time, I always found it amusing that no matter what you've achieved, there's still people that can actually criticize how you go about your job. And I'm not only talking about the panelists, I'm talking about media tipsters, a big race, panelists that have to select a race. They decide how you've prepared a horse or how you haven't prepared a horse. I think it's laughable. But at the end of the day, you know, you just gives you self-belief, and you know that you're on the right track and you do what's right for your horses to get into the race as they should be on the day. They're all individuals, and you've got to put them in there with a prep that is best for them, regardless of if they get in or not. That, for me, has ended a few years ago, where I actually have to satisfy panelists to get into a race.
And I suppose just like Jetmaster was sold as a 16,000 Rand weaning, one can go into the pedigree and say Horse Chestnut, Sadler's Wells, Northern Dancer, and you can go back into Restructure and Danehill. It's all retrospective analysis. The bottom line is that the horse is genuine, he's courageous, and he's now a legitimate Grade 1 winner.
Yes, I mean, he's done what he's had to do. He's had nothing to prove the whole time. I mean, he was always punching against above his weight. So, yeah, I mean, when the number's in the frame, you can't argue with the result.
The dogs were barking about a Son of Silvano in the 9th race. It looked like quite a strong race. You had cautioned the public that you thought it might be a bit early in his career, it might be a bit soon after his last start. He looked great in the parade ring, but he looked very, very naughty on the way down to the start, despite the urgings of young Lyle Hurtson.
Yes, I don't think naughty. I think just playful, not knowing what it's about. And the more Lyle urged, the more he was playing. So I think Lyle, by the time they hit the bend, realised he wasn't going to win that battle and just left him alone to do his thing. Yeah, and in running, he was still very green. I mean, when Pierre moved up on his outside, I think that actually helped a lot, because suddenly he had a horse to keep him company and get him through what seemed like quite a long flat spot. And he kicked on very strongly at the death. I still feel that it came too soon, and there's lots of improvement to come. As it is, the Triple Crown probably come a bit soon for him, but we will try and have him ready for at least a couple of legs. But I think he's that caliber horse if those races don't come too soon. You know, where he may get to, that's another story. But at the moment, you know, he's probably just got out of nursery school.
The day itself, for me, as a passionate horse racing fan, as a member of the media, an absolute revelation. You've got to give them 10 out of 10 in my book for effort, for pizzazz, for excitement. How did Sean Tarry see it?
I have to agree with you. At the end of the day, this industry is a very harsh critic, but not that forthcoming with accolades. And Phumelela, Racing Association, NHA, and whoever partnered with them, because we saw a change in gear, no doubt. And I thought it was impressive. I was very proud to be part of that event, and in such a big way. And well done, guys. As I said, easy to knock people when things aren't going well, but when things are going really well, give them the credit they deserve.